So this past week, Microsoft had its annual Build Conference, which they hold once a year for developers to, look into the new technology that Microsoft is offering. And so let's talk a little bit about a couple of things that happened this week. Alright, so the one thing that they showed in their keynote was a new app that was written for Windows, and it was written by a music composer, and he had a team of people that helped him with it. But it allowed them to convert handwriting through using the Surface with a pen to convert handwritten music into digital music. And so they were talking a little bit about how you always have handwriting, which is convenient, or you have the digital, which is nice, but it's harder to do. And so he was showing this app that he was able to create to convert that handwriting into legible, printed sheet music. And so that was actually really cool. Thought that was a little neat. Microsoft always gets the credit for being about business and those things. So it was really cool seeing that, hey, actually here's some technology we've leveraged for a music composer to be able to use this technology in a very creative way. So I thought that was pretty cool. They talked a lot about Microsoft Office and how it is evolving to be more than just Word and Excel and PowerPoint and the basic things, but that they're evolving Office to be Office but with partners, with integrations. And what that means is apps written for Windows 10 are going to have the ability to integrate into Office. And so, one of the examples they did was if you're making a PowerPoint presentation, you'll be able to connect it into different app services. And you'll be able to pull pictures right from those apps. Maybe it's a social network, or maybe it's a an app that you use to store your pictures. You'll be able to pull those pictures and put them right into your PowerPoint without having to worry about saving it to your computer and importing it and stuff like that. Even talked about integrating Uber with Outlook, and so if you had an appointment in Outlook, you could schedule your Uber taxi type service to pick you up in time for that appointment. They also announced that they are stating to all their developers and their partners that their goal is within 2 to 3 years to have 1 billion devices running Windows 10. Microsoft, I believe, has 1.5 billion users. And so, they're really pushing hard to say, hey, we're offering Windows 10 as a free upgrade, and we're really going to push to make sure that we have people running that. And what will make that good is it'll give a unified base for Windows, because it's tended to struggle in the past about, well, which version are you running? You're running Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, and so hopefully this will bring more consistency to that, which will be good for not only developers to be able to build on one platform, but for the user to know that, hey, I'm using the most up-to-date stuff. They talked a lot about their universal apps, and they talked a little bit more in detail about it. And so what they're going to allow the apps to do, the mistake in Windows 8 was one user interface to rule all devices. And so that's why, whether it was a phone, a tablet, or a big desktop, you got that big new start menu and all the apps were full screen, and it just didn't really work well. So now their approach, which is much better, is a universal application. Now, it doesn't mean the application is exactly the same on your phone as it would be on your computer, but it means it's the same code, it's the same core base. So for a developer, they can write the code once, and then they push it out to the different platforms, and the different platforms will show it in a different way. So if I'm on my phone, it's going to scale down, just like a lot of websites do. If you go to a website on your desktop, it looks very different than if you go to that same website on your phone. And so they're bringing that same level of thing to apps, except it's going to work on all things from phones to tablets to laptops to desktops, all the way up to the Xbox and even up to the Hololens technology that they're working on. Two other pretty exciting things that they talked about was converting applications to Windows applications, and they announced that they are building support for Android apps to easily be converted over to Windows, and for iOS Apple Store apps to be converted to Windows. And I think that'll be good, because one thing that the Windows platform has always struggled with since they came out with their App Store was it doesn't have as many apps, and it doesn't have as many, as good as high quality apps as some of the other systems do. And so that'll hopefully make it, again, easier for a developer to say, hey, I've already made this app, for iPhone, it's not that hard now for me to go ahead and bring it over to the Windows system. And this doesn't just mean on Windows Phone. This means, because again, the universal application, this means that if, app A is working here, because there's not a lot of Windows Phone users out there, but a lot of people have a desktop computer or a laptop that runs Windows. And so telling a developer, hey, now you can convert this iPad app over to Windows and have it run on millions and millions of Windows PCs that are already out there, I think is a thing that will be great again for the developers to be able to have that content out there, and for us as the user to be able to get this content on other devices. So they also talked a lot about Windows 10 and the progress they made with that. And I will say, the one thing that for me has really made Windows 10 the most exciting, and for me, because I know a lot of people still like Windows 7. Windows 8's been kind of hit or miss. But for me, Windows 10 is a definite easy upgrade to say yes. If you're running any other previous operating system, you need to upgrade to this. One was because of the Windows Insider programs. They allowed millions of people, myself included, to sign up to get early release access to the software, which we've been able to do before, but now actually be able to provide feedback and say, hey, this new feature that you just were working on, here's the feedback. And so there's a community of over 1 million Windows developers and insiders that are giving feedback to Microsoft, and we're as we get the feedback, we can vote for people's feedback, and we can talk more about people's feedback. And so that's been a cool thing that I think will make it different. And the universal application. To be able to say that, hey, if I can get, you ran into this a lot with Android in the Chromebooks, and iOS from the iPhone to the iPad to the Mac. A lot of times you'll have an app on one of those devices, but it's not available on the other device. And so what Microsoft is trying to do through the universal app is to encourage the developer to say, hey, you write the code properly once, and it works on all of our devices. And so if you get that app on your phone, you can also then go download the app on your PC, and even as they continue to develop this on your Xbox and other devices that Microsoft begins to push out through Windows 10. So I think that's one of the biggest promises there. It's one of the things I'm really excited for, and has even encouraged me to start looking into writing apps, knowing that they're going to work across multiple platforms. They also talked about their new web browser. So Internet Explorer has been the default web browser in Windows since pretty much day one. And it's always had a reputation of being slow, and it honestly has been slow because it's built up so much baggage over the years. New browsers like Firefox and Google Chrome have come out that have been much faster because they're much more modern. And so Microsoft has taken a stance down to say, hey, we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to build a brand new modern browser built for today's internet. And they've released that. It was project name Spartan. Now it's officially been launched and called Microsoft Edge. And their whole thing is blurring the edge of the web, and their whole thing is again integrating the browser tighter with the computer. So Firefox and Google Chrome, they're separate programs. Google Chrome you can integrate to your Google account and you get some, it'll save your passwords and stuff like that. But with Edge, they're trying to say no, this is an extension of your computer, and so it's going to have things like Cortana integration. You're going to be able to draw on the web page. So if you pull up like an Amazon product, you can circle something on the picture and be like, hey, I like this here, and then share it with your friends, and they can see the web page, with that drawing on it. So really opening up, how much you can do with that web browser. But also on the other side, making it extremely fast. The reports that they showed in the Build conference showed it being faster than Google Chrome, Firefox. Pretty much that was the fastest browser in the world to date. And it wasn't that much faster, but again, it was a little bit faster, and it's still being developed. And so I've tested it out myself. It does definitely seem fast. It is still a little buggy. Sometimes it would crash on me, but again, it's not been released yet, so I would expect there to be things that still have to be worked out. They talked a lot about the Windows holographic through the Hololens, and this is I think there's definitely people that are all excited about this, and there's definitely people that are like, yeah, this is stupid. Why why are we doing this? And I think this could either become the next generation of computers. So within the next few years, we could begin to see like this holographic type interface to where instead of you having a desktop computer, maybe people they sit down at their desk, they put on these lenses, and that becomes their computer. We could be looking at that. Or it could be something where maybe Microsoft is developing something that people just aren't ready for yet. We look at things like wearable technology. We had things like Google Glass that really never picked up because either it got bad media, it got a bad rap, people weren't interested in it, it was too expensive. But HoloLens is definitely a brand new approach. It is very different than virtual reality or like a Google Glass. It's an augmented reality for your actual world. And so I love the idea of it. But again, for me too, it's, is it really going to be immersive? Is it going to be something that catches on, affordable, those kind of things? So the demos they did were amazing. You watch the videos of them demonstrating it and realizing that it's not pre-rendered, like you're actually seeing what this product is creating. And so it was really cool stuff. But we'll just have to wait as time gets closer and they actually get around to announcing when they'll launch it. To see where that technology is going to be. And then finally they talked about they've talked a lot about their Azure cloud services. Azure is Microsoft's big cloud service, which they talk about how it's bigger than Amazon and Google's cloud services. And they shared a couple examples of what people are able to do with the power of, and the cloud is just, it's a host of servers. And so they're basically saying with all this processing power and all the APIs or the services that Microsoft is offering, what you can really get done with these kind of services. And so they showed two examples of doing photo recognition to where it would estimate the age of a person based upon some kind of algorithms. And it was kind of fun. I went to the website, tried it out. It was off by about 4 or 5 years, but I'm like, still, it's amazing that just from my face, it can get such a close interpretation of my actual age. Then they also did something that was really intriguing to me. They had the guy who was presenting it had sent in his, to get his DNA data back. And so he had the data and he put it into this app that they were showing through the Azure cloud service. And it was able to process the actual DNA of the person and show back, based upon the data, again, that was available in this cloud database, what diseases he was most likely to have to deal with in his life. And not only that, but like how less likely or how much more likely versus the general population that the person was at risk of those diseases. And they really talked about how this can be the next generation of like health and being able to go to your doctor. You have a wearable fitness band and you have this DNA analysis and being able to go to your doctor and say, well, here's been my aggregated patterns for the past couple months. Here's my DNA information, and really helping in health-wise, be able to say, okay, yeah, like let's look at these particular things. And so, while there's a lot of debates on both sides of the cloud and those things, I think there's a lot of positive things that can come out of this. And I don't know, it's a very exciting Build conference of the big vision that Microsoft has for that. And that, it does, granted they are a big company, and at the end of the day, they're there to make money. We know that. All businesses are. But they are beginning to shift back to the Microsoft that became what it was, because they're beginning to shift and say, hey, it's about the user. It's about creating something that we as consumers want, and then creating something that businesses and schools and universities want. Something that isn't, buy the product because you need the product, but buy it because it's something you can engage with. It's because it's something you like and you love being able to use. And that's what it seems like that's their vision with Windows 10, and we'll see when it comes to market if that's, the response it gets from people. Being able to use it over the past several months, it definitely has felt that way, and I think they're beginning to do a good job at bringing that to the table. So that was a Build conference last week in a nutshell. I'll probably post a couple of video links in the comments if you want to see some of Microsoft's quick little videos on that. But thank you for watching this video. If you haven't checked out my website already, it's techtipguru.com. I post some of my reviews there and some more information as I get it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, give it a like. And if you didn't like it, go ahead and give it a dislike. I'd love to know how you feel. Feel free to leave a comment in the video. And thank you very much for watching.